By now, you've heard about Global Poker, one of the fastest growing online card rooms available in the US and Canada today. So what's stopping you from trying it out? Global Poker is a safe and secure social poker site that uses their own patented sweepstakes model. Signing up is easy. You can use Google, Facebook, or just an email address. You can always play for free on Global Poker, but you can also buy gold coins for additional play, which will earn sweeps coins that can be redeemed for real cash to a bank account, Skrill account, or even as a gift card. Get a free 5,000 gold coins when you sign up right now at globalpoker.com.
Poker Stories is an audio series that features casual interviews with some of the game's best players and personalities. Each episode highlights a well-known figure in the poker world and dives deep into their favorite tales, both on and off the feld.
Hello and welcome to Poker Stories, a podcast brought to you by Card Player, the poker authority, and hosted by me, Julio Rodriguez. This is episode number 126, featuring three-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner Ryan Leng. The Illinois native found poker back in high school, where he was a standout junior hockey player, and he continued to play while in college, eventually turning pro and becoming SuperNova Elite online. He broke out on the live tournament circuit in 2017 with a runner-up finish in a WSOP event and a deep run in the main event. The next year, he won his first bracelet in the $1,500 bounty, and in the summer of 2021, he picked up bracelet number 2 during the online series. This fall, Ryan finished 7th in the WSOP Player of the Year race. He earned more than $1.2 million in combined cashes, taking runner-up in both the $1,500 Monster Stack and the $50,000 Poker Players Championship, while also adding his third bracelet in the $1,500 8-game mix event. But Ryan also had to take a little heat this series thanks to a now infamous hand he played against 50K PPC winner Dan Jungleman Cates. We talk about that hand as well as a bunch of other stuff in this interview. Anyway, that's enough intro. Here is my conversation with Ryan Leng. I'm here with Ryan Leng. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Julio?
Good. I'm feeling good. I feel like the WSOP is finally firmly in the rear view, especially with Europe done as well, and I could focus on next year, which is coming up sooner than later. Do you feel like the same? Like it's a never-ending freight train that just keeps rolling through?
Not necessarily. For me, I put in most of my volume during the World Series, and I take a lot of time off outside of WSOP time. For me, it was such a long, tough grind that I almost felt like hungover after it ended, and then, went and spent some time with family, traveled a little bit, and now I'm like finally back home and feeling, normal again. Like my life is just kind of normal and calm. So just finally getting out of that kind of hangover feeling and ready to move on with some other stuff for now, and then get excited for next May, June, whenever the WSOP is.
Right, it's gonna look completely different. You got the Rio Funk off, you got to recharge, and now it's gonna be something completely different on the Strip next year.
Yeah.
Well, we will talk about the World Series of Poker, especially because of your success there, both this year and in the past. But first, I want to go back to the beginning, to the what is this? Lindenhurst, Illinois.
Yeah. Yep. That's where I grew up.
So I looked up Lindenhurst, and all I could find out about it is that it's basically Wisconsin. It's far up there on the border.
Yep. Yeah, it's just 10-15 minutes from the border. Actually, when I lived in Lindenhurst, and I grew up playing hockey, I played for Team Wisconsin, ironically, not Team Illinois. So we were actually closer to Milwaukee than we were to Chicago.
My wife grew up in Racine for a few years.
Oh, yeah, that's not too far.
Yeah, she said her favorite days were when she would take the trip to Chicago. She was a big fan of the big city at that point.
Yeah, it's great.
let's see, what were you getting into in Lindenhurst?
I mean, mostly playing hockey. That was like for me. That was growing up. Hockey was everything. It was like more important than school. Um, and
Were you
I grew
good?
up. Yeah. I mean, I played at the highest level of youth hockey, and yeah, it was it was a lot. It was very competitive from an early age, and I loved it. And I loved competing, traveling all around the country and up to Canada to play against some of the best teams in the world. And it was definitely kind of sparked my competitive spirit that certainly has lived on, into poker.
Oh, so you were real good. I mean, as a child, traveling the country is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. It was, played against a lot of, now NHLers. It
Yeah,
was,
drop some names.
played against Sid, played against Phil Kessel,
So the names.
Ryan Suter, yeah, and a few others that I don't remember, but everyone playing in those leagues. We all wanted to. Our goal when we were children, when we were 12, 13, 14, we all wanted to play in the NHL. So and it was the league that we were in. It was a realistic path for that to happen. So
What was your position?
I played forward, center or left wing.
Okay. So did you have a particularly standout game?
No, not necessarily. I think I was never like the leading scorer. Never. I was always like kind of like upper middle. Never the most talented player, but I was very smart on the ice, so I could kind of like break the game down and see the ice well. But I was never like the fastest or the strongest or the most talented.
So how did your hockey career end?
It ended in my senior year of high school. We lost in the state championship game, heartbreaking game. My teammates at that point, we were like family, we were brothers, and I knew I didn't want to pursue hockey any further. I was already kind of into poker at that point. Athletics just didn't feel like the path for me. I didn't enjoy, hitting the gym or practicing at all. I loved playing hockey, but it was just I didn't enjoy the work that it took to, that you have to put in to get really good and to go play college, to go play D1 college or juniors. And yeah, I mean, it just kind of capped off with that my senior year in high school. I still remember after the last game sitting, hugging my teammates and just knowing like this isn't what I don't want to pursue this any further. And it was a great way to end. So I played a little bit just for fun after high school, but competitively, that's where it ended.
Have you played at all with any of the poker players who are into hockey?
No, so actually, I haven't been on the ice in over 10 years. And I just now, in the last like week or two, have started buying equipment. And I'm gonna, that way I'm gonna force myself to play. Hockey equipment's not cheap. I've put on quite a few pounds since the last time I hit the ice, so I had to get all new equipment, and it's going to be something that I'm going to try and put some time and effort into. I think in January or February, so should be fun. I'm excited.
Yes. Super cool to lace them up again.
Yeah.
I always liked having the stick there as a crutch for support.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't eat it on the ice. Okay, so you mentioned poker. So you're in high school, and that's where you discover the game. You're 35, right?
Yeah, I'm 35 now.
So Moneymaker Boom happens when you're a junior in high school?
Yes, and we actually started playing before the Moneymaker Boom. So it started, I was probably a freshman or a sophomore, and I started playing with hockey buddies, but we weren't playing poker. We were playing just different kinds of card games in between the sheets and some games like that. I remember the first time I played
Wait,
cards.
What's that game? I've never heard that game before.
In between the sheets, it's like I forget the rules. It's something where like there's a down card, there's an up card and another up card, and like then there's a card that's in the middle, and I don't know. There's points if you're like in between the two cards, but if you hit the post, you have to like pay a triple. I don't know. It's this weird game. I don't really remember the rules. I just remember losing a lot playing this game. So
you're hooked.
Yeah. And I still remember the first time I played cards. Actually, it was so it was my buddy Marshall Kayat. We all slept over at his house, and him and I stayed up all night. The other guys went to sleep, and he taught me these games, and we gambled. And he took everything in my wallet, which was maybe $20-$30, and my Petco gift cards. He let me use those. He let me gamble those so he could like buy bird food for his mom's birds or something. So he just completely cleaned me out, and I was hooked. I loved it. And then we actually watched the Varconi year on ESPN. I remember watching that, and that's after we watched that, then we started introducing Hold'em into our mix of games. And eventually,
Wow.
then the Moneymaker year happened, and everything blew up. And then, then all of a sudden, everybody wants to play No Limit Hold'em. And then we started, I would run tournaments every weekend at my house. We'd have, sometimes 2 tables, and the game was just always at my house. And just played with all my buddies, loved it. Was just super competitive, wanted to be better than everyone. And that's how it started.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the Varconi boom. Looking back, that should have been a bigger hook than it was, given you had Helmuth emceeing the final table, and then he had to shave his head because he said Varconi would never win. You'd think that would have did it before Moneymaker, but that's interesting that you were there a year early. Okay, so you're running games in your house, so you're playing the role of the host.
Yeah.
How are the parents liking this arrangement?
My parents were fine with it. They were a little cautious, but they always gave me my freedom. They knew I was going to do what I wanted to do, and that if I wanted to play poker, I was going to, I'd go play poker somewhere else and not tell them if I really wanted to. So, my dad was kind of into it. He watched, the Moneymaker coverage, and I remember I think he put like $30 on Poker Stars, and we like played together, and we tried to like run that up, and then we would play all like the Hubble free rolls and stuff like that. So he was into it. We would play heads up. We'd play heads up for whether I had to do chores and stuff, or like if I got to take the weekend off. Just they didn't mind, and my dad was into it. But they were also, fairly cautious. They didn't want me to. I certainly don't think they wanted me to make a living out of it at first, and they certainly didn't want me to go down like a path of like, gambling away my money or anything like that.
How were you good right away, or did you like jump into the books?
I did. I got a few books. Like I got Super System really early. I'm assuming my dad bought that for me for my birthday or something like that. As far as like, was I good really early? Like, some of these online guys, some of these guys that I know now that were like crushing Poker Stars when they were like 20, 21. Like, no, I was not like that. I was competitive with my friends. So like in my circle of friends, I was good, but I really had no idea what I was doing. It was just competitive. And, I would constantly be curious and try to figure out what good players were doing. I would get on Poker Stars and watch like the high stakes tournaments, watch the big name players and try and see what they were doing. But no, I certainly didn't like have just like this natural knack for it at the start or anything like that.
So you're 18, you graduate from high school. What's the plan at this point?
So at this point, I am super excited to go out to Arizona State University. I was going with 2 of my hockey buddies. We had planned to go out there. I just wanted to get away from home and travel, and like it was the thought of being like halfway across the country and living on my own was just really enticing. Like I just wanted my freedom and independence, and also nice weather. I was sick of winter weather. So I went out to ASU, met a couple of poker playing friends out there. Actually, this is right around when Daniel Negreanu was challenging anyone in the world to heads up at any game at the Win.
At the Win, that's right.
Yep. I think this
and
is
Barry
like when
Greenstein took him on for a bunch.
Yes, yep. And so I posted in like a Facebook poker group at ASU, the same challenge up to $100. And I wound up meeting some poker friends that way and playing some games that I had never played before. I played this one guy, his mom, her name is Starla Brody. She won the mixed doubles bracelet with Doyle Brunson many years ago. So one of Doyle Brunson's bracelets is in mixed doubles with Starla Brody. So her son, knew a lot about poker, taught me some stuff, taught me some new games, and we played a little bit. And he actually discouraged me from getting into poker. He thought it was a bad idea, but obviously I didn't listen to him.
Wow, that's awesome. Starla Brody's son took on the challenge. Did he win in the heads up challenge?
No, I wound up beating him. I don't remember all the games we played, but I do remember he challenged me in stud, high low any, or stud high low regular, I guess you call it now. And I had no idea what I was doing, and just kind of figured it out, ran well, and beat him. And but yeah, I mean, we played on and off. We would have games in my dorm room, and and I just I loved it. And then eventually found some friends that loved it as much as me, and we started skipping class to drive out to Indian casinos in California. We'd go to like Sequan and Marengo, and so yeah, we'd go play 1-2, or go play some like small tournaments. We'd skip class on Thursday, drive out for the weekend, sleep in our car, go broke, come back, just like did that, repeat, and then just eventually I just like wasn't interested in school anymore. I wanted to play poker. I knew it was what I wanted to do, which at the time was just hilarious because I was clueless. But yeah, I just kind of went with it.
What were you studying, and how far did you get before poker took over?
I think my major was journalism, but I think I wound up like changing my major to undecided, and I dropped out after 1 year. Well, I dropped out of ASU.
So it was poker all the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that it was just poker all the way, but school wasn't for me. I wasn't enjoying it. I got good grades in high school by doing, the absolute minimal effort. And I would procrastinate all my projects. I would do last minute. I wouldn't study for tests, and tried that with college. But then, you don't have parents to wake you up when you have a 7 a.m. class. You don't have, you don't have people telling you, oh, hey, you better go study this and that. And it just didn't work out in college. So I didn't like it. I wasn't interested in anything yet to where I wanted to like devote my time to. And my dad was paying for college, and I felt a little bit guilty to be spending his money when I didn't want to be there, and I was just going to kind of screw off, play poker, party, chase girls, and not focus on my studies. So after a year, I dropped out, went home. I took some classes at community college where my parents lived at the time, and then the same thing happened. I was just uninterested, so eventually just completely dropped out. And then I was dealing poker and playing poker. So it was like I would deal poker, save up $1,000, go play, go broke, go back to dealing, and just did that for like a year or two until I was able to get good enough to where I could actually like build a bankroll and play full time.
We have a question here. We ask, what was the worst job you had before poker?
So the one job that I had aside from dealing,
dealing cards.
Yeah. So yes, dealing cards, not drugs. I only had one job, and I bussed weddings. My friend's dad owned a country club, and they would have weddings there every weekend. And I think I did 2 weeks and just quit. I had a big, I made maybe a couple thousand playing in my home games, and making minimum wage bussing weddings, and I just thought, yeah, this isn't for me. So I lied to my boss at the time. I said, yeah, I got to go to college early. I'm heading out to Phoenix, and that just wasn't the case. And I didn't even give my 2 weeks. She's like, this isn't how you do this. You're supposed to give 2 weeks notice. And I was like, yeah, sorry, and just left. And that was the last real job that I had. When I dealt cards, it was for these charity events, so it wasn't an official job, and we just worked off of tips. But aside from dealing, it was just that 2 weeks of bussing weddings, and that was it.
Do you remember your first breakthrough score?
Yeah, it kind of depends on what you would call a breakthrough score. I remember the first 10K plus score was a big one for me. I was living in a house with some friends that we were all grinding. We all had the same goals, and we were trying to get SuperNova Elite. So me and another buddy were trying to get SuperNova Elite, and then there were a couple others living there who were, playing some cash games. One of them was a high stakes MTT reg who was, kind of coaching me a little bit. And I remember one night. So this is in the suburbs of Chicago, Hoffman Estates. And one night, everyone went to the Blackhawks playoff game, and I decided to stay home and just grind my sit and goes and add in a couple MTTs, and I wound up winning an MTT. I think I had a 4K bankroll at the time, and trying to get SuperNova Elite off of that bankroll, I have to play super small stakes. I have to play 20 tables at a time, 12 hours a day. It was going to be so tough. And then I wind up winning this MTT. I don't remember what it was. It might have just been a 10 rebuy or something like that. But those used to be huge back in the day. And I won it for 10K, and then I had a bankroll that allowed me to chase SuperNova Elite.
Yeah, it gave you the breathing room.
Yep.
So what about live poker? How much did you dip your toe at this point?
So it's funny. Obviously I started with just live poker, and then dealing poker gave me a lot of kind of live ability, interest in reads. I was constantly watching people, interested in live tells. And then I just kind of completely transitioned to online poker with the SuperNova Elite grind. And I probably did 3 years of just almost only playing on the internet. And then after year 2 of SuperNova Elite, I decided to come back to Chicago for the Chicago Poker Classic. And so I was living up in Canada at the time. This is post Black Friday now, and I'm up living in my grandparents' home on Vancouver Island while they're down in Phoenix, and just playing online. And I knew I was going to go travel to play a live tournament. It was either going to be Seoul, South Korea for a Poker Stars event, or I could go home to Chicago, play the Chicago Poker Classic, and see friends. So I decided to do that, and they had a car. You can win a car for player of the series, and they also had a 50K prize for player of the Turbo series. And I wound up winning both player of the Turbo series and player of the series. And so I scooped the car, which I took money for, and the 50K, and wound up having I don't know, 100K ish week or so. And that was a huge, just a major boost for me, and just kind of made me realize how much tougher online games were at the time, and that there's a lot of money to be made in live poker. And now after these 2 years of getting SuperNova Elite and getting coaching and stuff from good online players, now I'm actually starting to there's real potential to be an actual professional poker player at this point, where and I didn't really realize it until I kind of got back into live poker after being hiding behind my computer for a few years and just putting in the work. And then all of a sudden I realized wow, I can actually crush the live scene here. So I started to focus more on live, and things went well.
Yeah, I see. Early on, there was 3 straight wins at Bellagio in the span of 5 days.
Yep.
That must have been a nice, crazy run.
that was a blast, and it worked out really well. The timing was great because there was I think there was like a big EPT at the time, and all the best rigs, all the best like high stakes Vegas rigs were over in London or I don't know, wherever the event was. So the Bellagio tournaments were fairly softer than usual, and I, was super confident after coming off of this the week that I had in Chicago, and just feeling like all my online work has turned me into this crusher. And I just ran super well, won 3 side events at the WPT, had a blast, just started to build from there.
There was some lean years after that, at least live. What were you getting into? Was there a point where you thought maybe you wanted to do something else?
Yeah, so I went back to online poker again. So I took maybe a couple year break, and then a couple year break from playing online when I was just playing live, and then got back to playing online, and then I started dating my girlfriend Nikki, who I'm still with now, and money was starting to get fairly low, my live bankroll, just because I was like living off of that, and I like wasn't playing all that much, and like small downswing, and all of a sudden I'm like kind of starting to sweat it, and I decided I wanted to go get SuperNova Elite again, just because it was like kind of like a guaranteed 6-figure year, and I wound up moving down to Mexico for a little bit, and working with a new coach, and he really improved my game a lot. And I got SuperNova Elite that year, and then moved up to Canada after Mexico. Came back from Mexico with a dog. My dog Izzy, she was a stray out there, so I brought her home with me, and then went up to Canada. And that next year was going to be the final year of SuperNova Elite, and I was just burnt out. And so we were living up in Niagara Falls, and I started playing a little 2-5 at the casino again, playing live again, enjoying it. And then we moved down to Florida. My girlfriend had an internship down there, and I played a bunch at Hard Rock. We lived down there for 6 months, and that's when I kind of transitioned back again from online to live, and then from there.
You're hitting all 4 corners of North America.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've always loved to travel. Part of why I wanted to live this lifestyle, this poker lifestyle, was to have my freedom, be able to go wherever I want, be able to travel wherever I want. So it was nice to be able to do that in my 20s when I was single, and just I lived in Costa Rica, lived in Mexico, got to travel all around. So did a trip to Europe, played WSOP Maine from a hostel in Greece. So yeah, it was a cool thing to do in my 20s. I'm glad I did it. It was a great experience.
All right, best experience living, poker living experience.
Oh, that's tough. Are you saying like specifically when I was like traveling around? Because really my best.
Yeah. Was
okay.
it the Rosarita crew or
oh
you
man.
said you were?
Oh, that's tough, because like I loved Costa Rica was beautiful. I loved it. We were like in the rainforest. As far as the scenery goes, I love that. But the people that I met in Rosarito, who are still some of my closest friends to this day, and my dog. I mean, my favorite dog I've ever had. She's a stray living out underneath an RV in our building, and she would, we'd all grind. And then we go to lunch, and we all walk outside, and there's this stray dog, and she wouldn't let anyone near her except for me. And I was eventually like, I would, she let me pet her, and then I'd bring her like a can of beans, and I'd feed her. And I did this for about a month. And then I was, I decided I was going home from Mexico, and, like a day before I left, I said, you know what, I can't leave this dog. So, but yeah, also some of my best friends I met down in Rosarito, the Las Olas crew down there. Some great people, and just some really hardworking and talented poker players. I was actually really inspired by James Romero down there. He was he roomed with a few of my friends, and I was watching him play and how hard he was working, and just really instilled like how hard you have to work at this game if you want to be competitive. And I mean, he was playing low stakes MTTs, and just like every day he was like finishing first or second in some tournament for like 5K. He was just constantly in profit, constantly grinding, working hard, studying. So there were a few other guys down there that were also like super talented, worked really hard, and yeah, I just kind of took that like almost like through osmosis, like just kind of applied that to myself and my game, and it really wound up kind of being everything later on in my career.
Yeah, that's WPT champion James Romero went on to win at Bellagio. So it looks like 2017 was kind of the breakout year live. You made a final table in New Orleans at a circuit event that was pretty big, and then you went deep in the actual main event at the World Series for $176,000. What was that like? You finished 41st in the main event.
Yeah.
Was it bittersweet, or were you ecstatic?
Oh man, my head was spinning at that point. I felt drunk. It was such an amazing experience. I was so zoned in, so focused, and I was playing with Ben Lamb, and he opened, maybe cut off, something like that, and I peeled small blind with 9-8 suited, which at the time I had some friends and coaches who said, this is a pusher fold spot. I peeled off of 30-ish bigs, I think, 9-8 of diamonds, and nowadays it's certainly less clear. People are peeling in that spot a lot more. But yeah, I peel there. I big blind folds. I flop a flush, and Ben had ace-6 off with the ace of diamonds, and we just I don't remember the action, but we get it in, and he just he turned the diamond. So kind of heartbreaking that that pot puts me in position to run deep, but at the same time, it was such a blast. And just when it ended, it just I don't know, it felt really surreal. My head was spinning. It was still such a great score for me. I remember that day. I don't know, it was I'm assuming day 6, but I just remember watching the pay jumps go by, and just we're playing on the feature table, and our hands are kind of going slower than the other tables, and you just hear bust out after bust out, and you're looking at the clock, and it's like, whoa, there's another 20K, there's another 30K, and it was just massive money for me at the time. So
this came a month after the 1500 that you finished runner-up in.
Yeah, against
so this was obviously one of those series that changed your life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is actually, so I had started working with chip leader coaching. I was a student. Chance was my coach. I got a little bit of coaching from Nick Petrangelo at the time as well. It was just huge for my game. I was putting in a ton of work. I was by far the most active student in the entire group. You can do analytics on Discord, who participates the most. It was I was chatting more than any of the coaches. I was asking all these questions. I was just I was so hungry. It was coming off of that, that living in Mexico and learning from those guys that this is what it takes. So I was super hungry to learn and study. And it was really the first time. I mean, I had gotten coaching and I'd studied a bit, but this was the first time that I really prioritized studying. And I was very fortunate to have people like Chance, in my corner and there to help me and give me the tools to really study hard. And that year was it was fantastic. A second place finish, which was great, but also a little bit bittersweet. And then the deep run in the main, same thing, great, a little bittersweet, but just a massive bankroll builder for me, and just a great experience all around.
You mentioned Chance. You're talking about Chance Cornuth, who's got a few bracelets himself. Chance has always been a guy who's always combined the math and also the live feel of things. You had a tweet recently, back in November. You said that the absolute nut poker players are very well-studied nerds who also value live reads, psychology, and an understanding of human behavior in the moment. Is that kind of what you're getting over at Chip Leader? Because I know you also do some some coaching for Chip Leader as well, right?
Yeah, I used to. I'm not with them anymore. They actually they only have one small team now. They're all still great friends of mine. I still work with them a bit, study with them a bit, but I'm not coaching for them anymore. But yeah, so Chance was just kind of my perfect coach because we thought about the game in the same way. I was always interested in the psychology, and I was always kind of a field player. And it wasn't until I started like working hard online and getting some coaches that I really put some real work in with like theory and math and strategy. But I noticed a lot of like really, really good, like genius online players were getting live tell owned, or they were just, calling it off in spots where it's like, well, this guy clearly just always has it. He never has bluffs. Like, what are you doing? And so I was always like really interested in sort of the other half of the game. That tweet was in response to Mike Matusow tagging me. Mike was basically, kind of trashing the guys that work hard and study solvers, and say, he said, Ryan Leng had said something about this, because I do, like, I've always appreciated, guys like Phil Hellmuth and Eric Seidel and Daniel Negreanu, who like have kept up with the game, and they still have all these like great old school live tactics that I think get neglected these days. And also just like some natural abilities. I guess Phil calls it white magic, but I do think it's an understanding of human behavior, an understanding of psychology, having empathy, being able to put yourself in other people's shoes is actually really, really important, to just kind of try and figure out what they're thinking in the moment, what they're trying to accomplish. But I also wanted to make it very clear that you cannot get away with just those skills anymore. I think a lot of people would know me as being like kind of like an exploit player, if you will. I actually don't like either of the terms exploit or GTO personally. But look, I do a lot of like funky stuff. I do a lot of like creative stuff. Live tells are a big part of my game. But like, let's not pretend that solver work isn't important or studying isn't important. I've spent hours and hours on solvers and plugging in hands, going over hands with better players than me, learning theory. So yeah, I definitely think you can neglect either side of the game, and the best players are like very well-rounded and work hard at both aspects of the game.
Do you have a favorite live read moment in your career?
Yeah. So it was the main event that I got 41st in. So day 2, I think I came in with maybe starting stack, and there was a player at my table who had all the chips, and he was this like loud, kind of like a home game hero type of guy, like knew what he was doing, like probably, the kind of guy you'd expect to play like 2-5 and 5-10 and, play some tournaments here and there, some 1Ks and stuff. And he just had all the chips. And I had something like 20 bigs at one point. I had lost some pots and it was, starting to look like, maybe I was going to bust on day 2. And all of a sudden I picked up a live tell on him in one hand that I was really curious about. And then I watched him in another hand, and there it was. And I sat there all day, and we basically exchanged chip stacks over the course of, I don't know, 3-4 hours, maybe more. Probably it was probably the whole day. And I wound up busting him at the end of the night, and he just had this like, just this glaring tell where he would, if he was bluffing, he just gave you the hard stare. So he puts chips in, and he gives you the hard stare. He's chest out, trying to, like, it's like if like we do these natural animalistic things, like we're not beyond our evolution, and it's like if you see like a chimp in the zoo trying to be dominant, and they stick their chest out, and they're just like this straightforward kind of tough posture. Well, this guy was doing that when he was bluffing.
What are they compensating for?
Yeah, right. And I mean, in this instance, it's compensating for not having a hand, but
exactly.
So it was just so glaring, and I just sat there and just took his chips. And when he wouldn't do it, I would make very tight laydowns, and I would just, I would not speculate in spots where maybe I should. It's just like, well, why would I take these close spots if I could just sit here and catch all his bluffs, right? So it's just like, then this is kind of like a situation that I feel like a lot of like the best, the most sound theory players maybe aren't going to do in a tournament like the main events, because they're so used to playing these like super tough fields where they don't get these kind of situations. But when you have a spot like that that's just so good, you've got to start passing on closer spots. You don't want to be taking flips. You want to be playing just the lowest variance style you can possibly play. If you have this situation where you can just like sit back, wait for the crystal clear slam dunk. And so yeah, that boosted me into day 3 with a lot of chips. And then I also, it was like a few days later, maybe day 4, where it was kind of the same thing happened. This was versus Thomas Canuli, and he had a glaring tell as well. And kind of a similar thing. He came in with a ton of chips, and I just sat back and waited for good spots against him. And I mean, he's a great player, but he, super aggressive and bluffs a lot. So if you're somebody who's super aggressive and bluffs a lot, and you have a live tell, like you're gonna be in trouble for somebody who spots it. So yeah, that basically just that main event was like where my, probably the best tournament that I've had as far as like live tells mattering the most. Like it just 2
and
days.
It's probably the tournament, every year where it's going to matter the most, right? Because you're not going to get as much in the high rollers anyway.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You're going to get a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna keep going. Go ahead.
No, yeah, I mean, just in the main, you're just going to get a lot of amateurs, a lot of home game heroes who don't know how to cover up their live tells. But even some of the best in the world have some live tells. So yeah, I mean, I think live tells are very, very important. But yeah, in a tournament like that, when like the bulk of the field is just, can be really bad and really exploitable, if you can find these nice, easy spots and just cruise through a day, you just make life so much easier on yourself. And I mean, you can have just like a free day where you're just collecting chips because somebody has a glaring live tell, or even, it doesn't even have to just be a live tell, but let's just say somebody has like, an aspect of their game that is just really, really bad. You can just sit back and take low variance spots against them. Like if you can find those, if you're lucky enough to get a table with that, and you can find those players and find those spots, that tournament, you can just kind of cruise through, take your time with those 2-hour levels. And yeah, I just think the players that have those skills are probably have the highest ROI in the main event.
You had that close call for second place, but the next year you got some revenge. You won the bracelet with the 1,500 bounty event. You also got $250,000 with it. Was the bracelet something that you had on your bucket list, or was this just, something that came along with a ton of cash?
No, I have always been a sucker for the bracelet.
Okay.
Yeah, I chase bracelets. I wanted to win bracelets. When I was a kid, I dreamt of winning bracelets. There's all this talk about, do they matter? Do they not? And, are they being diluted? And they absolutely matter to me. And I think it's important for poker to have it's sort of like one major series that's bigger than the rest every year. And I do think that some things have diluted the bracelets, but then I go back and look at some of the really old ones. Like I said, earlier, Doyle Brunson won a $600 mixed doubles event. And, I think that the WSOP could possibly make the mistake of, continuing to dilute them. But I also think some of the adjustments that they've made during the COVID period have just made sense, having all these online bracelets and stuff. I hope that they don't continue to dilute them, because I think they need to matter for recreational players, for people who are interested in poker. It's cool to have that World Series of Poker bracelet that you dream to achieve, you dream to get. So yeah, I've always been a sucker for them. And actually, so after when I got second place, I always had, I would have in my office, I would have like little posters up, inspirational posters, whatever. And I remember after that year, in my office, I had a picture of Christopher Frank, the guy who beat me. Great guy, by the way, huge fan. But I had his bracelet photo up on my wall, and underneath it, a sign that says, "Nobody cares, work fucking harder." And and so I just kind of used that to like inspire me. And yeah, I knew like, hey, if I got second, I can win one of these. And then the next year I go and I win one. So that was, it was amazing for me. Definitely like a kind of a capstone moment in my poker career.
Was there a symbolic changing of the photo, or do you still keep him up there?
No,
as
no,
motivation?
No, the photo came down. I currently don't have any photos up right now. But yeah, the photos have always changed, just based on, if I feel like I'm being lazy, it'll be something that, shut up and work hard kind of thing. But yeah, that photo came down after that.
the short-lived reign of Christopher Frank. Okay, so let's fast. I mean, you're winning some circuit rings along the way, and then you mentioned one of those online bracelet events. You won one of those in 2020 for another 115 grand. What was it like to win a virtual bracelet?
Well, the virtual bracelet was this year. That was 2021. The 2020 115.
Yes, I'm looking at
ring.
The circuit. Yes, you have so many circuit titles. I got them confused with the bracelet. Okay, yes, $1,000 freeze out. You won that one for almost the exact same amount of money.
Yeah.
On my birthday. Thanks. In
that was on your birthday?
Yeah, I know. I have the worst birthday for poker. It's it's middle of July, so I'm always working on the main event during my birthday. But
yeah, your birthday is July 13th then, because that is my girlfriend's birthday. And this was a really funny story. And actually, so I give my bracelets away. I gave my first one to my parents as a Christmas gift, just like as a token of their support, and like always supporting me through my poker career. It was Nikki's birthday. The online WSOP is going on, and she has always been so supportive. She was with me when I was playing $30 sit and goes on Poker Stars, like, near broke, and she was never worried. She always saw potential in me and really helped me believe in myself. So it's her birthday, and I'd been grinding the online WSOP, and I said, hey, let's go out to dinner. I don't need to play tonight. And she was like, no, play on your phone. I'm like, no, I'm not going to play on my phone. It's your birthday. We'll go out to dinner. I'm taking you out to dinner. We'll go play Pai-Gow or something, have some fun, go have some drinks. And she insisted that I play. So we go out to dinner, and I'm playing on my phone. And, just running really well. We're having conversation. I'm just like, click fold, and, then we're chatting and stuff. And so running really well, and then we go over to Red Rock, and she likes to play Pai-Gow for like $5 a hand. She's such a nit, and she just wants to have a few drinks and play Pai-Gow. And so like she gets on a Pai-Gow table, and I give her $100, and I sit there on her iPad now and finish it out. So I sat there for a few hours, and I win it on her birthday, which I just thought was pretty cool. Like just the fact that she is insisting that I play on her birthday, and like she would have every right to say like, hey, no, it's my birthday, like take the day off. And so it's just such a just a really poetic kind of like a poetic like it's like poetic symbolism of like her support for me throughout my entire poker career. So I actually I just mailed it. She's back home in Illinois right now for Christmas with her family, and she's going to get my bracelets and a nice little note from me about always supporting me, and how wouldn't be where I was if it wasn't for her. So she's about to get that in 2 days. So.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. We have the same birthday. We also went to the same college, University of Florida, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
Go Gators. So I always ask everybody, where do you keep your bracelets? I think you already answered that question, right? You're just going to keep giving them away. What about the circuit rings? Do you have like a display for these anywhere? You have 4 of those, right?
I think so. I don't. I honestly don't know how many circuit rings I have. It's not that I don't value the circuit rings. It's just, I've played so many circuit events, and like the bracelets are, what's huge to me. I just looked over. I have one on my desk right now, 2019 circuit. So I have at least one of them. I imagine they're here somewhere. I know I gave one of them away to a friend of mine. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe my mom has one. I'm not sure, but I have at least one here at the house.
Let's talk about bracelet number 3. Came this summer. Not this. I keep saying summer. It was in the fall.
Yeah. This WSOP. Yeah, we've all been doing that.
Okay, this October, when we had a World Series for the first and last time ever, you won the 8-game mix. So all of a sudden, you're mixing it up and playing the non-hold'em games and winning, huh?
Yeah. So WSOP Player of the Year is my big long-term goal in tournaments. And I knew if I wanted to compete for that, I would have to learn mixed games. So I put in a little bit of study prior to this year, but it was really just in the last 6 or 7 months that I guess maybe more than that, but maybe 6 months prior to WSOP that I actually really put in some serious study. And so I read Dylan Lindy's book. I did the Upswing course, Jake Abdallah. Both of those fantastic. Lucky enough to be friends with some brilliant mixed game players, Oasis, Ahmed, and Benny Glazier. So just being friends with them, being able to chat with them, send them hand histories, and then Alan Kessler invited me to this little mixed game group that he has where they do these PokerStars home games, and they're super low stakes. And I started playing those a ton with the intention to experiment. Basically just play as aggressive as I possibly can, see what bluffs work in what games, figure out how to win chips without showdown. And I think I annoyed quite a few people along the way because, I became the punty fish that runs well. I've always had that image, and I love it. So, but yeah, I was definitely that person in these mixed games in this PokerStars group. But it really helps, just to experiment and figure out what works, what doesn't, and then go over some hand histories with some friends, and they would tell me the kind of mistakes I was making, and I was able to do that right up until the World Series, and just kind of come into the World Series very fresh with mixed game, all my mixed game stuff still fresh in my mind. I don't think I am anywhere near an expert in mixed games. I think I do some stuff well in tournaments specifically, but I think me winning the 8-game tournament certainly doesn't qualify me as some mixed game guru by any means. I still consider myself to be a noob, and I'm still constantly talking to better players and trying to improve my mixed game strategy and ability.
A week later, you finished second in the Monster Stack for $377K. So now you got $500,000 under your belt, and you're, in the running for Player of the Year. What is your thought at this point? Just grind.
Yeah, now I'm so jacked at this point. It was rough, that heads-up match against Michael Nori. I obviously heads up and no limit hold'em against he's a mixed game player, so heads up and no limit hold'em against a mixed game player. I felt super confident. The final table was just I ran so pure and everything was going my way. And, I really just kind of got it in my head that, okay, I'm going to win this bracelet. I'm going to be front runner for player of the year. Get second place. It's awesome. I mean, it was my biggest score at the time. It was bigger than my win in the 8 game. Now it's okay, let's go. Like, I'll take, go to dinner. If I want to sulk for like 30 minutes, cool. But there's tournaments tomorrow. We gotta chase player of the year at this point.
And where is Michael Norrie's photo in your house?
Don't have one yet, but that's good. I might have to put one up.
All right, we got to talk about the runner-up finish of your of your fall. The $50,000 Poker Players Championship. You say you're not a mixed game player, but you managed to get heads up in the mixed game event of the year. Puts almost $600,000 in your pocket, but of course there was some drama there, right?
Yeah. Some Jungleman drama.
I just Googled your name just doing my research, and one of the first results was, is this the worst fold of all time?
Yeah, yep.
I thought that might be a little bit, hyperbolic, but
that was rough. So it's a really interesting spot. And first of all, let me just, kind of explain, like, even playing that 50K, it was like a 5-year goal for me starting like 8 months ago. And so I was playing the, I think it's a 2,500 9 game, which is, it's the same tournament as the 50K, just, 2,500 and, quicker structure. So I was playing that and chatting with Oace, and he's like, dude, you should play the 50K. Like, you won the 8 game, like, sell action. And I don't really sell action very often. If I do, it's going to be in spots where it's like higher buy-ins than I'm used to playing, and tournaments that I think, maybe my edge isn't that huge. And I really don't like, it's just like, it's such a pain to like have, 10 people buy your action. You've got to do all this accounting. I can't stand doing accounting. You're going to have to transfer money. You're going to have to make sure everyone transfers you money. I'm not a fan of it. And so Oasis was trying to convince me, and I was on the fence, and I decided, okay, fine. I'll put a tweet out, but like, I'm not going to sell to the 50K. It's the Poker Players Championship. There's no way I sell out. I put a tweet out and I sell out in like 20 minutes. And now all of a sudden, once that happened, I got nervous. I was playing the 9 game, and like, my stomach kind of dropped. I'm like, whoa, the 50K is in 2 days. I've never played a 25K, let alone a 50K. And it's not a 50K no limit where, I know where I have confidence in like every spot. I'm playing games that I'm still very new at. So I was so nervous. I thought, okay, this will be an amazing experience. Hopefully I can, cash somehow. And then I don't know, I feel like I learned more about mixed games in those, 4 or 5 days, whatever it was, playing that tournament with the best in the world, than I had in all my days leading up to it. It was a surreal experience. I played my heart out. I bluffed my balls off. I played my best. I had so much fun. I obviously ran well to get there. And then, by the time I was, 3-handed with Paul Volpe and Jungleman, I was just, my head was spinning. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was exhausted, like mentally fatigued. Because like in No Limit Hold'em, I can just kind of run through the motion. Like in this game, in these games, like every single hand, I'm like constantly guessing. I'm constantly trying to figure out, like, wait, was this a mistake? Like, what should I do here? And it was just like, it was so much tougher on me. And the Jungleman hand, I honestly don't even remember what happened up until the river. I know I checked the flop. Someone told me I checked the turn as well. I don't know if I bet or checked the turn. I don't remember. I just remember I bet the river.
So wait, let me real quick set it up for the listeners who may not have seen it. This is 3-handed. You're playing Limit Hold'em. Yeah. You raise Ace-5. He defends with King-Queen. And it comes Ace-Jack-7. You check. I believe he leads into you and you call. The turn was a 9. It went check-check. He rivers a king, so he's got second pair. You have an ace. Obviously for top pair, you bet it, and he raises all in for only half a bet more.
Yeah.
Really unorthodox line being taken by Leng here, inducing Jungle to take initiative. He took his one shot on the flop for a small bet, does not fire in position on the river, and now Jungle has hit the king, and Leng comes out swinging.
All in.
Raise all in. How much is it? I mean, I'm never good here.
Wow, it's
Would you make
300
like kings
more.
and sevens or something? 9.
Jungle just thinks he has the best
9,
hand with a king here.
grand.
Oh my gosh.
So sick, because I'm never good, but like, how can I ever...
Is Ryan really thinking of folding after taking this unorthodox line?
It's only 300,000 more to call. He's getting 11 to 1.
Save one bet.
Crazy.
8.5.
All he has to do is click call, getting an insane
save
price
one bet.
here, Chris, and Jungle's done.
Yeah, and Jungle thinks he has the nuts with King Queen the way this hand was played. This is crazy. Oh my god. Wow.
I'm gonna disable this one.
Oh, wow.
Jungle can't believe it. What just happened?
So in this moment, so when I bet, it was 600, and I bet in a way where it was, so they're all 100K chips, and I bet 3 and 3. So like there's 3 chips and 3 chips. That's my 600 bet. He goes all in, and the way I like view the chips, I see like 3, 3, and 3, and like it's I like in my head, he has one full extra bet. Now, still, I mean, arguably, still like an easy call if you talk to some people. I will say that there were multiple top-level mixed game players who hit me up in DMs. Some of them maybe just trying to make me feel better. But one of them I know wasn't trying to make me feel better because he told me I played every other street terribly. It was Sean Deeb, and he told me that the fold was like really, really good, and that it's like an above the rim fold that people aren't making, and that Jungle should never have worse for value and can never be bluffing. And that was my thought in the moment. And one of the things that I've like really struggled with in these mixed games, the limit ones, is like saving bets. And this is more so a stud thing, like just trying to figure out when to save one bet here or there. And in my mind at the time, I just thought, okay, this is gonna like, he's got me beat here. He has 2 pair. Like he shouldn't ever be shoving just a king. And like, how could he ever be bluffing here? And I just thought I could call it off and just like, it felt like lazy to just like, oh, sigh, call, I guess I lose. I wanted to like, I just thought in my head, like, no, don't, like, be perfect, make the crazy hero fold. And yeah, he had king queen. And but you know, like some great players have said that it was actually a fantastic fold. Other players said it's a small mistake. Plenty of people saying it's the worst fold of all time. I don't think they know what they're talking about, but if it is, that's cool. None of it really bothers me. Like I'm super proud to have gotten there in the first place. I very easily could have just called there, won that hand, and I'm heads up with Paul Volpe, who's going to beat me 65% of the time heads up anyways, because he's so much better at those games than me. So I may have had the same result. Maybe not. Maybe I win the tournament if I call there, but you can't do that with poker. You just move on and learn from it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still tried to put up a fight heads up. I made some more mistakes after that heads up against Jungle, including a no limit hand where I let him bluff me again. And I mean, I got bluffed by Jungle on the day before the final table as well in a really big pot. Jungle is Jungle. He's one of the best. He's got to be like a 160 IQ or more, right? He's a genius. He's a brilliant poker player. We all know he's like out there and a goofball, but I got wrecked by Jungle, and I feel no shame in that whatsoever. So maybe it's Jungleman's picture who needs to go up on my wall. But all I know is, if I keep working hard at poker and I decide to keep doing this for a living, that I'll be ready for him next time, and I'll give him hell.
Well, that's the right attitude to have. And people are forgetting the other side of this, which is to examine Jungle's play, which is crazy, by the way. He's essentially throwing away. I mean, he probably has to maybe call your river bet, but he has to save that half bet just in case.
Yeah.
And I think most people would agree. So he escaped criticism just because it happened to work out in this spot. But yeah, that's the right attitude. Obviously, great result for you. You went on to cash in the other 50K in the no limit hold'em one for another 150,000 or so. $1.3 million for the series. You didn't win Player of the Year. You finished 7th. But you're right there, right? So
Yeah.
got to
Yeah,
feel good moving forward.
I was in the race the whole time up until the last 5K. Josh Aryeh he just put us all in the blender there. Like he busted the 50K. Just shy. I think he got 6th. So I think he was the last one to not be on the 5-handed feature table. And then he goes and hops in. I think it was 10K triple draw.
10K,
whatever it was.
10K PLO8.
Oh, PLO8. Okay, yeah, that's right. And then, we have a day off, and the following day we're at the feature final table. He's over at the other final table, and he winds up winning it. And it's like, you gotta have so much heart, because I know that 50K meant the world to Josh, and I know he was bummed to bust in that spot. And that's like it's one thing that like I'm really proud of with my game, and I maybe not my game, but my ability to just like fight through pain. And Josh did exactly that. He could have gone and sulked. He could have taken a day or two and just been bummed that he got 6th in the 50K and he could have done better. No, he hops right in the PLO8, brings his best, and wins it. And that's like, you got to love that. And that's what it takes to win Player of the Year. That's what these guys do. These, guys like Sean Deeb and, Negranu, who just like, they're constantly in the running for Player of the Year every year. And it's pretty cool to see. It's pretty inspiring. So it's something that I want to do, and I feel like I've put myself in position to have a chance every year if I go for it.
Do you have a bracelet goal in mind?
No, not necessarily. I want to keep winning bracelets, but I don't know if I'm going to play poker for the rest of my life. There's a chance I don't play a hand of poker this next WSOP. I'm interested in other things. I usually take my, 6 months off or so to experiment with other stuff. And, if something sticks, if I wind up choosing another career path or life path, I could become just kind of a rec player. And that would be cool. I would love to be like a recreational whale who used to be really good at poker. So, who knows? But if I keep playing, I want to keep winning bracelets.
We have some rapid fire questions to close things off if you're ready.
Awesome.
Let's see here. You mentioned your dog that you found in Mexico, and your screen name on WSOP is Adopt a Doggo. So obviously you're very dog friendly. How many dogs you got? What are their names? We're going to brag a little bit.
All right, we currently have 4 dogs. We have Izzy. She's the stray from Mexico. She's like she's a black what kind of retriever? Flat-coated retriever. So she basically looks like a black golden retriever. We have Khaleesi, who is a Chihuahua. We found her in Florida running down the street. Tried to find her owners. We brought her to a shelter, and the shelter said they were 99% full, and it was the holidays, and they may have to put dogs down. And so we said, well, screw that. We'll hang on to her. We'll try to find her home, try to find her owner. Never happened. So she wound up staying with us. We have Buddy, who was Craig Varnell's girlfriend's father's dog. And her father passed away, and he needed a home. So we brought him in, and we just assumed we'd find him a home. But no, he was another foster fail. We loved him too much. And then Charlie, who is my favorite. I hate to say favorite because like Izzy is also one of my favorites, but Charlie is a blind border collie corgi mix. He was born blind, so he doesn't know that sight is a thing that exists. It's not like a human where you get to explain, hey, you're blind. So this dog is he's amazing. He's so brilliant. He's so smart. We can bring him to an Airbnb, and within like an hour, he has the whole layout mapped out in his mind. He's incredible. He's my my best pal. So yeah, those are my 4 dogs, and we foster sometimes, and yeah, I mean we'll just always have dogs.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, let's get into some of these questions here. What about your favorite win? Do you have one?
My favorite win. Wow. That's got to be the first bracelet. Yeah. The first bracelet was amazing. My mom was in Phoenix at the time, so she drove out. She got to be there. Nikki was there. Her mom was there. It was amazing. Definitely the first bracelet.
What about the biggest pot you've ever won or lost? Your choice.
Well, I don't play a lot of cash games, so it's kind of hard to tell. Maybe that pot with Ben Lamb in the main event, that was a ton of equity, because I feel like if I double up there and I have like 50 bigs with 41 left, I think I can really run deep. So maybe maybe that one. Otherwise, it's got to be the Jungleman one, right? Like the amount of EV that I lost when I made that fold. Yeah, it's got to be the Jungleman hand. It's got to be the biggest EV pot that I've lost.
What about the best swap or piece you've ever had of anybody?
Oh man, I run so bad in buying and swapping. Like all my friends have these I have some friends whose like poker careers took off because they had 10% of someone who won something huge. I pay out a lot more, although I don't like swapping. So I had one long-term swap that I wound up canceling. So like swaps are very, very rare for me. I just hate giving up pieces myself. I'd rather buy pieces of players. And so I did swap in the main event this year with only 3 players. Michael Trivet, who I kind of coach a little bit, and we studied together. And so
circuit winner.
Yep. And he's a hell of a mixed game player too. So like he's a POI threat. If he keeps putting in some work. He's been working really hard. So I swapped 1% with him, 1% with Dylan Lindy, and I couldn't pass up Chance. When Chance hit me up and asked to swap, he's just someone that he's too good. He's like one of those players that has to have one of the highest ROIs going into the main event. And yeah, so he finished, I don't know, what did he get, like 15th or something this year, and I had 1%, so he paid me like $3,300. I think that was my biggest swap of all time.
Wow, people are not coming through for you.
No, and I'm going to pay $13K to a buddy in a couple days from all the he bought pieces of both the 50Ks. So I definitely paid out way more than I've collected.
All right, what about we did the job one. What was your largest non-poker wager?
Largest non-poker wager. Oh, this is
You mentioned Pygow. I don't know how high.
No, Pygow is like Nikki and her mom like to play table games. So like when her mom comes out to visit, she'll stay for like a month with us. She loves Vegas. They'll play blackjack and Pygow. I don't gamble much on the side. I'm trying to think if I've had any like fun prop bets, but I don't think I've ever had any huge prop bets. I had one. If anyone's been paying attention to Twitter, I had one in the works that fell through. I was going to do an IQ prop bet with somebody, but I'm not going to name that person. I don't want to start any drama or anything. But yeah, that one could have been for a lot. So like, I don't know, if I find a really good spot in a prop bet, I'll take it. Otherwise, like it's probably like a future in sports betting. So maybe like, I don't wait. Is this a loss or a win or either? I forgot.
Anything.
Yeah, I would say like 10K, like hitting like a big parlay or a big future in sports. And I don't even really bet sports anymore. So I think I'm lifetime winner, which is insane because I'm definitely minus EV, but just like a low sample size. And I'm just not. I get the same thrill when I lose, like when my fantasy football team loses and it's like $100 league as I would if I lost like $1,000 on a game. So like I just don't see I don't see any reason why I should be doing it. Like, I'm not a sharp. It's not a profitable endeavor for me, so I don't really get anything out of it.
That's smart. Cool while you're ahead. If you could pick the entertainment for the Super Bowl halftime show, what would you choose?
Ooh. Oh, Kendrick Lamar. He's
okay.
We keep hearing that he's got a new album coming out. Yeah, let's hear some new Kendrick Lamar.
Who is your celebrity doppelganger? Do you have somebody that people tell you look like, or maybe growing up did you look like somebody?
Not growing up. I gotta Google this guy. I don't know who he is. What was the show? It's called. I had a friend who watched the show and said, "You look like this guy," and it was true. I did have some girls in high school used to say I look like Ross from Friends. I didn't appreciate that. All right, let me
David
find
Schwimmer. This was
Yeah,
pre-beard.
I'm gonna pass on that one. Yeah, pre-beard. Okay, Greg Grunberg.
I
He was
already know
from
who
the
that
show.
is.
He's from the show Heroes. I don't know. Apparently, I
Yeah,
look like him.
he's like best friends with J.J. Abrams, and
Oh.
he's always appearing in those projects and stuff. I think he was one of the Star Wars pilots.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
I see him here in some Star Wars get up. Yeah, so I haven't seen a whole lot of his work, but yeah, I can see the resemblance.
I think I remember seeing him in Felicity back in the day. Maybe I was wrong about that. I might be getting mixed up with a different guy. Anyway, Greg, I want to Google him real quick with a beard.
Yeah, I see Felicity shows up, so I have no idea what Felicity is, but yeah, you're right about that.
You know, I had an angsty teenage time watching that show. Yeah, I could see it with the beard for sure. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah.
When he's got the hair going.
Yeah.
Greg Grunberg. Okay. Okay. What are you interested in that most people aren't?
That most people aren't. I mean, I'm interested in a few things that most people are. Like, I'm really interested in film. I'd like to get into film, but everyone's interested in film. Well, I got my Rubik's Cube right here. I used to like do some like speed cubing with my Rubik's Cube. Just try and solve it as fast as you can. My goal is to get under like 1 minute or so. That was a nerdy little thing that I like to do. I like board games. Play a bunch of board games with my friends every week.
That Rubik's Cube thing, I mean, you said that so casually, like, yeah, I just try to get under a minute.
Yeah, I mean, it can sound like, oh wow, like that's really cool. We're actually, so like Nikki and I are we are going to be buying a house soon, and Karina Jett is our real estate agent. She's showing us around, and we were at a house, and I said, I saw a Rubik's Cube. I said, oh, should I solve it for the kid? That would be funny. And she started talking about her kid, her 8-year-old kid. I think her 8-year-old son can solve a Rubik's Cube in under a minute. That's incredible. Like,
this is
that's nuts.
Karina and Chip Jett, who are both pro poker players and real estate agents, apparently. Let's see here. Are you superstitious at all?
No. No. In general, I really don't believe in anything sort of superstitious or kind of metaphysical, anything like that. But my family, we're all like Boston sports fans, and then playing hockey. We used to have like little things where it was like, oh, you got to do, you do the same thing because we won the last game or whatever. So like I've participated in like fun stuff like that. Our hockey team, like we weren't changing our boxers for like months when we went on this crazy winning streak, or like, not shaving or stuff like that. But I certainly don't believe in anything like that. And I think it can actually be kind of a hindrance. It can keep you from like considering what really matters, especially if you're doing it in poker. Like, if you're focused on doing the same thing you did wearing the same thing, eating the same thing because you won a tournament, rather than like figuring out what you did right in that tournament and working on your game. I think it's just a distraction. So no, in general, I'd say no.
I'm not sure if this applies to you as a tournament player, but I guess maybe back in your SuperNova Elite days, your longest session?
Oh, okay. So I'm a procrastinator, and 2 of the years that I got SuperNova Elite, I had to get the bulk of my VPPs in the final 2 months, November, December. And I mean, 1 year I did half of my VPPs in November and December, and the games are super tough then because all the SuperNova Elites are finishing out. So it's just like way more regs. And so I played the month of December. The minimum amount of hours that I played per day was 12. Every single day for like 30 days straight. Played on Christmas, played on New Year's Eve, and I think one of those days I wound up playing like 16 straight hours so that I could be done a few hours early and go party on New Year's Eve. So I'd say 16 hours of, like 20 tabling sit and goes. That was just pure hell.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
That sounds like the worst month ever, but
Yeah.
you got it done.
Yeah.
Do you use any movie quotes on a regular basis?
No. When we were kids, we always used to quote like old school and stuff. I love film, so I will quote movies when something applies. But like off the top of my head, I don't have any like, any regular quotes that I use all the time. But if something applies in, if I can make a point with something, or if I can make somebody laugh with the right movie quote, I'm constantly using them, but just I don't have any specifics.
Could you name a favorite movie, or is that impossible?
Oh, we could talk for an hour about that. Yeah, you got to catch me in certain moods. I mean, I go on. I mean, I have so many different lists. I mean, off the top of my head, I'll say the Royal Tenenbaums right now, but I'm in kind of a Wes Anderson mood, so I don't know.
Ask
Children
again
of
later,
Men.
huh?
Yeah, if I'm in kind of a dark mood, Children of Men. Yeah, there's so many.
What about a gambling movie? Do you have a favorite gambling movie?
I am not a fan of most gambling movies. I would love to write a really good poker movie. That's actually kind of a long-term pipe dream goal of mine. I do have a fictional piece of work that I have started writing. I've got it in final draft here on my computer that, hopefully one day, that could come to fruition. But no, I mean, I don't like rounders. I think most of the gambling movies are like super cheesy. I just watched Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels again for the first time in a long time. I don't know if you count that as a gambling movie. And they play poker in the beginning. So I'll give that one just because that's a fantastic film, super funny.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie. Look, that's a good pick. We end the podcast the same way every time, with a question from the random question generator.
Okay.
Here we go. Do you sing when you're alone? And if so, what are you singing?
Wow. Not often, but I will name a funny time when I did. So I went to Japan right before COVID hit. I was... do you have time for kind of the long side of the story? Or
yeah, let's go for it. Go for it.
All right. So my dad was a United Airlines pilot. He just retired. So I flew for free. I was trying to go to the Aussie Millions, and so I got $20K in my backpack, and I'm heading out to Australia to go play the Aussie Millions main and a couple side events. And because of the fires, the planes had to carry extra gas in case they had to divert when they got into to Australia, when they got into Melbourne. And so they weren't taking standbys on. So I sat at LAX for like 2 days trying to get on a flight, and I never got on a flight. And so like I had allotted this time for like 2 weeks where, Nikki was like, yeah, go for 2 weeks. I got the dogs. And so I called my dad. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to get out to Australia, but like, I want to travel. If I might as well, right? What flights are open? He's like, let me look. I'll call you back. Calls me back in like 20 minutes. He's like, Osaka tomorrow at 9 a.m. wide open. So I fly first class to Osaka. I start Googling like phrases in Japan. Biru kudasai, a beer please, was the first phrase I learned. And so I just kind of like backpacked through Japan for a couple of weeks. And Dylan Lindy was on his honeymoon at the same time, and they had done Tokyo when I was in Osaka. I got up to Tokyo and I asked him like, hey, where should I go? And he told me Shinjuku, and it's where all the the awesome bars and like parties are at. And so like I went to this like I forget what it's called, this like robot show, and they're playing like a Beatles song, and I wind up, my phone dies, I get hammered in these bars in Shinjuku, I have an awesome time, but then I realize I have no idea how to get back to my Airbnb. Like, I don't know where I am. I'm hammered. I have no cell phone. So I just started walking, and all I knew was my train station. And I knew if I could find the train station that I'd be able to find the Airbnb. I remember the street and where it was close. And the train station was called Okubo. So I'm just walking around hammered, and I walk by someone, just say Okubo, and they just look at me like I'm some crazy American idiot. And finally I found one person who pointed me, oh, that, it's that way. So I went that way, and I did that for, several times, just trying to find the right direction. And I wound up just walking by myself, drunk, singing the Beatles song. Which one was it? It's In My Life. So I'm singing the Beatles In My Life kind of loudly, because I'm walking down these streets in Japan. I don't know if it's safe or not. I mean, it was, but I'm just like kind of singing loudly, just making sure I'm heard. I don't want to like sneak up on someone, scare them. Like, so I'm just singing loudly, just drunk, stumbling my way, trying to find my train station. And I find this drunk Japanese guy comes up to me, puts his arm around me, starts singing with me, and helps me get to my train station. I find my train station. He wants to like, he's like, oh, come to the bar. No, I gotta go home. So like, yeah, I sang that song by myself, walking through streets in Tokyo. So
nobody's gonna mug the guy singing Beatles songs, right?
Right, exactly. So
you helped that guy find his way home. All right, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing the stories.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
That's it. That is the show. Thanks again to Ryan for not only sharing the stories, but also for reliving that brutal hand against Jungleman again. You can follow him on Twitter at RyanLeng9. And if you are considering getting a dog, you should be like Ryan and adopt one. You can also follow us on Twitter at CardPlayerMedia and also at poker_stories. Don't forget to subscribe, and please do us a favor by giving us a 5-star rating and review. Let us know you did so with an email to pokerstories@cardplayer.com, and we'll hook you up with a free digital subscription to Card Player Magazine. Thanks for listening.